afternoon, everyone. My name is Agung. I'm from TrueWatch. I'm the senior pre-sales solution architect, and it's an honor to be here. And thanks to our AWS and also our BlueDB to invite us in this event. Before I start, I'm the only thing between you and tea break. So I'm trying to keep it simple and short. We don't have a lot of demos, but what we want to share today, the objective of my presentation, right, is how we basically get advantage from Apache Doris, right, and how we basically transform TrueWatch observability platform with AI and also basically get the features to be ready for Gen AI era. So the title of my presentation is Transforming Observability Platform for the Gen AI era. So how do I switch? Okay. Yeah. So before I start, basically I came from a couple of domains, right? I started from network security, and then transformed to basically systems, and then observability recently when I was with Splunk. Okay, and as you can see, I'm not in my very best version or self, right? I'm wearing arm sling. Just a little bit of story. I had a terrible accident 3 weeks ago, but I'm very fortunate. I'm standing here before you and sharing here our solution, right? The accident happens when I was cycling, but I'm not going to share more on that story. But just a little bit, I I fall in love with cycling, right? Maybe some of you also have the same thing, and the reason is because I'm not the best version now, and probably I don't look the fittest, right? But I used to be 35 kg more than I am today, right? And thanks to cycling, I had a lot of metabolic issues, like probably many of us, right? Because of diets. Um, but cycling eliminates all of that, right? And what's the relevancy with observability? With cycling and many other competitive sports, and thanks to IoT, right, and data analytics, you can actually improve better and better every day, right? You get data from your smartwatch, right? You get data from your cycling sensor. For me, for cyclists, if you're a runner, you get data from your heart rate monitor. All those are data. And why do you need to do that? Because you want to improve, right? You want to improve to not to be better than somebody else, but maybe some of us do, but is to improve to be better from your version of yourself today, right? So I got a lot of help from cycling. I mean, I get better, but the most important part is what is the relevancy from what I'm, going to share with you today. So my session here is not going to be very, very technical. I'm trying to simplify it, and hopefully with this you get really the juice of what I'm trying to share today. Okay, so sorry.
Let me try to hide that banner.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a banner there. It's a little bit annoying.
Because it's not
Let me see.
showing here.
Yeah, maybe you can help me to see there.
Yeah. So okay. So the banner up top, yeah, still there. So just probably.
Actually, I don't know how to hide it. Any ideas from the audience?
Sure. But and then drag it somewhere else. Yeah. Okay. How's up?
Okay.
All right. Sorry for that, but I need my screen back. How do I get my screen back?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Okay, much better.
All right, much better. So, not going to read line by line. Quickly, um, I'm going to talk about a bit of Gen AI, but everybody already, the previous presenters have already talked about it. I'm just going to touch it a little bit, and then I'm going to touch about why observability is needed, right? Especially in Gen AI era, and then I'm going to introduce our solution a little bit, right? Our company and how we are different and basically how we use AI in our capabilities, right? And of course, we want to also pinpoint that why the traditional observability tools, if you already using or been using it, is struggle in Gen AI era. And all this has relevancy with Apache Doris, right? So I'll talk more on that. So yeah, so let's begin, right? So in the Gen AI era, like many other, I mean, peoples or experts in Gen AI or basically the presenters before me, one thing that you want to take note is that your data is just going to be growing and growing, right? So in the Gen AI boom, what Angela mentioned, happens in 2022. I mean, it catches everybody attention, right? So the short after that, the use cases in enterprise um, coming from use cases for your business analytics, your document processing. There are a lot of use cases coming up, right? But all in all, is about data explosion, right? And a Gen AI system or workloads is not cheap, right? It's not cheap to run server that empowered with graphical or boost with graphical processor, right? And to train your model, you need that kind of systems. And it's expensive, not just the cost, but it's also expensive if that machine is running other processes that eats up its capability to its max, right? So it's critical for you to observe, right? To observe the system that is running that or training your model for Gen AI. So of course, for enterprise, in FSI, I already seen before TrueWatch. I mean, the company before TrueWatch, I was with Splunk. I see enterprise already adopting things, LLM training building the infrastructures, building use cases to solve their business challenges, right? And therefore. The system that is already complex before Gen AI, it will become more and more complex. Because why? Application will need to talk to another application with artificial intelligence, right? And data is becoming more and more complex, and they need to be, fit to the model, right? So that it can solve your problem. So with this system that is becoming more complex, you have application talk with API, right? With orchestrations, you need to pinpoint problem faster, right? If the AI Gen AI giving you wrong answers, you need to know where that answer comes from which data, right? And also, if system is not stable, right, you need to know and how to quickly resolve the problem, right? You need to pinpoint and resolve the problem faster. So I've been talking about observability. What is observability? So let's just take a step back, right? So observability. I mean, if you Google it, there are many um, words explaining about observability. But I'm trying to put it simple, right? It's basically evolution of monitoring. So we've been in IT, we've been doing monitoring a lot of time. I mean, for the longest time, right? Network system, application, etc. Right? But monitoring, if you put a differentiator, monitoring is typically it's a point solution. So that's one thing. It's a point solution, and monitoring typically silo in terms of data, meaning if you are monitoring your network, it's only your network data, right? You can only make sense of it. The data is about your network, right? But on top of your network, you also have your infrastructure running, right? And that also has its own monitoring system, right? But it only tells about your infrastructures. And then you have applications, right? Application logs, right? But application logs or application monitoring only tells about your applications, right? So it's all running in silo. But observability designed to break this, right? So ingest everything, right? Your application, network, infra, etc., and make sense out of it, right? So this is observability. So basically, understanding your data, not just one data, but multiple data. So that's probably the easiest way for me to simplify observability, right? So now that I talk about observability, maybe you heard about other company that's already established in using giving a solution in observability. But now, how are we different, right? How TrueWatch is different, and the relevancy with Gen AI or AI as a whole. So TrueWatch is an advanced observability platform. So it's designed to provide deep insight across cloud, right? So nowadays, a lot of enterprises uses multi-cloud, right? But even though they are using single cloud, they may also have on-premise, so it's hybrid. So it's only few companies that's really, really there to do all cloud strategies. And typically, this is also aligned to their business model, right? But my point here being, even if you use single cloud, hybrid or multi-cloud, you need something or you need a data point, right? To collect the important key metrics logs. We typically say as melts, metrics, event logs, and traces, so that you can make sense what's going on in your company, right? So that's where we basically kind of different because we are full stack, right? We collect data, not just melts data, but we can also collect business kind of data. For example, your financial reports or your transaction report based on what you made or the dollars made today. Okay, so we are not just ingesting logs metrics, but we can also correlate data from application performance monitoring or real user monitoring. So again, to the relevancy with cycling, in my earlier statement is that you want to get better as a company, right? So you need data point. So that data point in nowadays are your infra data, if you're using digital apps, that's your backend server data, infrastructure data, and your user data or front end data. Okay, so we correlate all that and how we are stand out. What are our differentiators? First, we are open and flexible. So that means basically we are using a lot of we are full supporter of open source. Okay, so we have our own collectors and protocols, but we full supporter of open source. I will talk more on that on my next slide. And we are cost efficient and scalable. And I think this is already mentioned by the previous presenters. We are using Apache Doris, and that makes this possible. And number three, we also, TrueWatch is designed for Gen AI, but we also use AI internally for our user to use TrueWatch features, right? So let's probably deep dive on these differentiators one by one, right? So when I say we are fully support open source, because we support things like Prometheus, right? Open telemetry or skywalking. So if you are already developing apps, whether it's Gen AI or just distributed apps with microservices without Gen AI, so likelihood you probably already use a certain level of open source solution, right? So maybe for your dashboarding is Grafana, or maybe your collecting data from your apps with OpenTelemetry or Prometheus for your infrastructures, right? So if you're already doing this good, if you are using us or using TrueWatch, you can basically ingest all this data and you get correlated insights. Okay, so you don't have to replace all these tools, which are, I mean that you probably already have an investment on the infra, but the more precious things that if you're already collecting data with these protocols is the data itself, right? It's the historical data. And you can basically integrate that or ingest that to TrueWatch so that you can get a better insight. So we are vendor agnostic. So basically, if you already using, even if you're already using some of the observability tools, and they probably use proprietary agents or collectors, likelihood we can basically get that data as long as basically those collectors are the more popular one, right? So plug and play compatibility. So basically, to acquire data, we have our collectors, but nowadays, if you are using systems or applications, likelihood you will have a API as an interface to acquire the data. So basically, we can get easily integrated with 30 plus apps API, right? So this basically will ease you to onboard data to TrueWatch. So future-proof architectures. Again, this has a relevant with Apache Doris as well, because Apache Doris is designed to be scalable in terms of storage. But we also, in terms of our front end, our back end, we basically design TrueWatch architecture to be very, very scalable. Cost efficient. Basically, with again, this is has a lot things to do with Apache Doris. Okay, so previously we TrueWatch uses another database or data lake, right? I don't want to mention it, but if you listen it carefully in the previous presenters, there's I mean, it was mentioned there, right? But we switched to Apache Doris, and what I want to point out, what does this enable, right? This enables a optimized storage efficiency, right? In terms of what, because Apache Doris uses ZSTD, and this is not a disease, okay? Sorry, just like joke. Okay, so ZSTD is a compression algorithm, right? So this allows the storage cost reduced to more than 70%. Okay, and when you develop storage, a compression is a racing between algorithm and the hardware itself and the price of the storage, right? So with this enables TrueWatch to be to store the data 70% more effective. And in terms of a performance, right? So if you're using a customer that is using TrueWatch using the SaaS licensing model, you don't really feel this benefit. But if our solution also available as an on-premise, meaning you manage everything from the storage, also from the system, and you purchase your own infra. You probably have a reason to do that because of compliance, because of many other reasons, right? So if you do that, because our backend storage is using Doris, you will have a faster query speed, and in terms of resource allocation, you will have This is from a real use case that our customer that deploys TrueWatch on-premise, they have 50% more effective storage compared to their previous observability tools, which is also on-premise. So all this basically allows you a long-term cost saving. Now, where also we are different. We use AI in many facets, right? So AI in machine learning, we basically use AI for intelligent monitoring, right? So this is basically picking up anomaly detection. That normally can be your infra anomaly, can be your workload anomaly, can be your application anomaly, right? And that we also have a pre-built detection rules. You don't have to configure that. You don't have to configure your data or make sense your data with a complex configuration. We have a pre-built template and detection rules. And on the Gen AI part, we integrate the Gen AI capabilities to assist our user or our customer to build insights, dashboard charts with just a prompt, right? So with prompt, you can interact with our system to basically give you an instant chart and reports about your systems and about your applications. So with all of that features, and let me just share with you why the current traditional observability tools, I'm not generalizing everything, but probably those company that's not really develop innovating. Typically, the problem is high storage costs, right? So that translates to the cost of the solution itself, right? So the cost of observability cannot be more expensive than the revenue that you generate from your digital apps, for example, right? So so high storage costs. Secondly, query performance bottleneck, right? So if you have too much data, especially if you already using Gen AI, right, then you basically the data processing or ingestion will be huge, right? So and that translates to query performance bottleneck. That means if you want to get analytics or insight using a query, then your traditional observability tools might struggle, right, giving you the right insight. So another problem in observability is that data can comes in many forms. It can be JSON, it can be structured, it can be semi-structured, especially your application logs, right? So when you talk about AI, Gen AI, so the system is even more complex, right? So the data variation will be a lot. So schema conflicts with rigid data models, that would be a problem. So many older traditional observability tools will have a problem with variation of data, right? Especially in Gen AI. So let me just share you again or reiterate again why we transition to Apache Doris, right? So there are four key reasons, and this basically helps us optimize our solution for Gen AI. Now, number one, basically we already mentioned this, and I will just repeat that again. Is lowering our storage costs. So if you run TrueWatch with SAS, again, the immediate impact for you is basically in terms of your data ingestions, your licensing will be much, much lower compared to other observability tools. But if you choose to run TrueWatch on premise, that means your footprint in terms of your infrastructure will be much, much smaller than compared to other observability tools. So faster querying performance. Of course, this was already mentioned as well in previously in the previous presenters. But what does this enables you, right? So in observability, you want to quickly get insight from your infra, from your applications, right? So you need to be able to get data fast, right? As fast as possible. Uh, Dynamic schema adaptability. So as I said, the storage cannot be very rigid. We need the data, especially your system data, application data in Gen AI is going to be more varied, right? So we need the schema needs to be able to be to adapt to support AI-driven workloads. So of course, with advanced analytics built in Apache Doris, we don't use that right away, but we basically do another processing on top of that, and that's also one of the key reasons why we choose Apache to transition to Apache Doris. So with that, basically also enable TrueWatch itself to be seamlessly integrated into other with other applications or other infra or cloud, right? So number three, real world impact. So we are new players, but we already have happy customers, right? So these customers are in Singapore, right? So I just want to highlight CDG. So who doesn't know CDG, right? So everybody use taxi here. So they switch from another observability platform, which cost them primarily is because of cost, right? And again, the cost because of the storage cost, right? They need to retain their data, right? So with switching to us, they are basically reduce their observability cost to 67%. And they optimize basically their query from their data about 300 to 400%. Again, number four, Gen AI and observability. It basically is about the need of to have more data, right? To have more storage because the data will be explosively high, right? So again, this basically the another reason why we choose Apache Doris, right? Because we want to be more scalable. So still on time. Yeah, and with this, basically, I also wanted to let you know that we have local availability, right? And regionally, especially ASEAN, we are in a couple of countries, Singapore and also Indonesia. And we are coming to to your data center closer if you are resided in other countries other than this. Okay, and of course, this is my last slide. I hope I'm on time. Uh, we are already in AWS. Maybe I give it back to Angela. Thank you.